Todd, are you ready? Are you all ready up there? Call this meeting, reconvene this meeting at 1:14 p.m. And we have suspended the reports. We just accept written reports from the different departments and commissions. And so that moves us on down to old business. First item under old business is codification report. Diane, or who's here to give the codification report? Okay. So they can hear you.
Thank you. We have had an opportunity in Legal Resources to go through the complete code, and I sent you, but it was late this morning, the report of the work that we did on the code and going through it, and there's some things that need to be included that weren't included, and some statutes that need to be brought up to date. And I think that the point that we're at now is to decide who should do that. If we need to get this to Ms. Teague so that she can clear those matters up, or if we should do that in-house.
Point of order. Madam Chairman, we really should call roll before we...
This is reconvened. Don't we need to recall the roll?
You need to reestablish your
Quorum? Okay, Madam. Excuse us, Diane.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Meredith Braley.
Here.
Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Gil England.
Here.
Bill John Baker.
Here.
Audra Connor. Kara Cowan.
Honey.
Don Garvin. Chuck Hoskin.
Here.
Bill Johnson.
Here.
John Keener.
Here.
Jackie Bob Martin. Linda O'Leary. Mabana Shophouse. David Thornton.
Present.
Phyllis Yardy. Here.
We have a quorum. Okay, Diane, continue, please.
The other thing that hasn't yet been done in the codification project is to include all of the JAT decisions that might affect existing statutes have an annotated compilation. I think one or two of those decisions have been referenced in the work to date, but not all of them have. So that's another area that we believe we need to address. And I would defer to this body's decision at this time or at a later time on how best to proceed to get it in final form.
Kara, did you have a question?
Whatever's being passed out, we're not getting that copy down this way. I apologize for her.
Okay. Do you have that copy? Go ahead, Diane. Sorry.
That's all, and that's my fault, I'm sure. We didn't get the report out until this morning.
All right.
Well, then that's not mine.
Does anyone have any questions or comments for Diane? So, Diane, when do you anticipate this to be completed for presentation?
We have completed our work on the report and looking at the code, but there is work yet to do. I think that it would probably be proper to have a meeting of the subcommittee to address exactly how to finish the work up and go back and do some cleanup and include perhaps the JAT decisions.
I would concur with that. Meeting the subject committee would probably be appropriate.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll let you know, Diane. Okay, next item is under old business is a legislative act amending Title 21. And is that yours?
That's mine. Thank you. This is two provisions to the criminal code regarding assault and battery. We continued this from last time to give us a chance to talk with individuals that have been working on domestic violence legislation. We've had the opportunity to do that. We've determined to go ahead with these two. We'd ask the council to go ahead with these two legislative acts, adding these two crimes, and perhaps do a more comprehensive domestic violence statutory changes at a later date.
Any comments or questions in regard to this legislation? And entertain a motion.
These the body will recall, these are two statutes expanding upon existing assault and battery statutes, providing for aggravated assault and battery, and also defining crimes that occur in the presence of children. These are statutory changes that, for example, the state of Oklahoma has passed in the last decade, but we had not.
Madam Chair, move to accept.
Moved and second. Any further discussion? This is an act, so roll call.
Joe Angen,
Yes.
Bill John Baker,
Yes.
Audra Connor, Joe Crittenden,
Yes.
Meredith Brady,
Yes.
Don Garvin, Chuck Hoskin,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
Yes.
John Keener,
Yes.
Jackie Bob Martin,
Yes.
Linda O'Leary,
Yes.
Melvina Shophouse,
Yes.
David Thornton,
Yes.
Carol Callen Watts,
Yes.
Louis Sharkey.
Yes.
Unanimous. It passes. Okay, item 3 under old business is discussion and possible action concerning attorney representation. Mr. Hembry.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. In your boxes this morning was placed a proposed policy for representation of tribal council members and council employees. I've gleaned these policies from the way the Attorney General of the State of Oklahoma represents elected officials and employees of commissions. I've also consulted on how city councils represent their elected officials. The definitions are purposely broad to include all types of possibilities that would be official capacity.
Todd, I'm sorry for interrupting. Do you have copies for everyone?
I gave it to Gina yesterday to be disseminated into the box, so I don't have them.
Madam, they were provided for in boxes.
What I would recommend, and I spoke with Mr. Hoskins, who was the counselor who specifically wanted this policy, that we would disseminate it today, review it, you all put your notes on what you like, what you dislike, what should be added, and that we would consider this at the next meeting or reconvene meeting.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Hoskins.
I'd like to make a motion to table this item since it's not time of the essence and give us an opportunity to review it and put it on next week, please.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Got out of that one, didn't you, Todd? Okay, moving on down to new business. Item number 1 is a confirmation of Johnny Earp as a member of the Economic Trust Authority. Melanie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Principal Chief respectfully resubmits Mr. Earp as a renomination to the Economic Development Trust Authority. And I believe Mr. Earp is here in the audience. If he would stand and come forward, I'm sure that if you have any questions of him, he'd be happy to answer those today.
Madam Chairman, I put that for the motion to accept. Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Congratulations. Item 2 is confirming Sharon Swipton as a member of the Comprehensive Care Agency.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This nomination is also a renomination of Sharon Swipton, who you all know as acting controller now. She's been serving on the Comprehensive Care Agency for some time and has also served on the Health Board as well. And she's in the audience as well if you have any questions of her.
Mr. Garvin?
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, Sharon, wherever she is. There she is. Thank you. Item 3 is a resolution calling for an amendment to Article 3 of the Cherokee Constitution, adding a Cherokee blood requirement to be a citizen with the Cherokee Nation.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any discussion? Yes, Mr. Baker?
Can you have somebody explain and give the purpose of this?
Sure. Mr. Embry?
Madam Chair,
Madam Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jacob.
I told folks about this during hard hearing, and we couldn't hear about comment or whatever.
Mr. Baker just asked that someone explain this particular resolution.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I offered the resolution. The sponsor is Mr. Councilperson Martin. The purpose of the resolution is to require that, or put it to the vote of the people on the definition of who is going to be a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. Just for the benefit of the audience, let me read the referendum language, which has gone through a developmental process. It would state, referendum on constitutional amendment. There is hereby proposed an amendment to the Constitution of the Cherokee Nation pursuant to Article 15, Section 2. Said amendment would modify Article 3, Section 1 of the Cherokee Constitution of 1975 and the first paragraph of Article 4, Section 1 of the Cherokee Constitution of 1999 to read, notwithstanding any provisions of the Cherokee Nation Constitution approved on October 2nd, 1975, and the Cherokee Nation Constitution ratified by the people on July 26, 2003, upon passage of this amendment, citizens of the Cherokee Nation shall be only those originally enrolled on or descendants of those enrolled on the final rolls of the Cherokee Nation, commonly referred to as the Dawes Rolls, for those listed as Cherokee by blood, Delaware Cherokees pursuant to Article 2 of the Delaware Agreement dated the 8th day of May, 1867, and the Shawnee Cherokees pursuant to Article 3 of the Shawnee Agreement dated the 9th day of June, 1869. Yes in favor of the amendment, no against the amendment, and keep the present language. That is that's the exact wording of the proposed referendum. The purpose of it, as it is stated, is to...
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can we have cell phones turned off and there needs to be no conversations during the meeting?
We politely ask that anyone that has a cell phone, that you put it on silent or vibrate so it doesn't interrupt the meeting. Thank you.
The purpose of the resolution, as stated in the language itself, is to require that in order to be a citizen of the Cherokee Nation, that you are able to be a member of the Dawes Rolls or be a descendant of the Dawes Rolls as to only Cherokee by blood and the Delawares and Shawnee Treaties, respectively. That's the purpose of the resolution. Ms. Hammond took part in the drafting of the language. As I said, we would entertain any questions or comments about it.
Any questions or comments? Mr. Hoskins?
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Hembry, is this proposal, if approved, to be put on the ballot in next year's election, 07 election?
There is a resolution before you today that would, if passed by 2/3 of the members of the tribal council, bring this to a special election with a date of November 4th. If 2/3 vote is not received to do that, upon passage of this resolution by the council, it would be placed on the next general election, which would be June of 2007.
But the proposal that we're going to address later in the meeting is November 2006?
Correct.
Thank you, Mr.
President?
Mr. Hembry, what, in your discussion with whomever requested this, what was the need for this urgency with this? I mean, the house is not on fire, at least I don't think it is. Was it intended to prevent someone from voting in the 07 election, or was it, what other reason is there for the urgency of the special election?
As to the intentions or the justifications, I would refer to Mr. Martin in that instance, or Ms. Hammond. What was conveyed to me as the intent was to an attempt to depoliticize the the process. But outside of that, I would refer to either Mr. Martin or Ms. Hammond.
Okay.
Mr. Martin?
My comment would be that we're dealing with one piece of legislation which is on the floor. And my opinion is the discussion that's going on now is about the legislation 2-3 items down the line. So I think, in my opinion, we're out of order right now in discussing the election process.
Madam Chair.
Point of order, there's not a motion and a second for this item, so the discussion does not have to be limited to this particular item at this time.
There has been a motion in a second.
There has been a motion and a second, I apologize.
Mr. Martin, were you finished?
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Hammond, did you have any comment? In regard to Mr. Whitman? Mr. Martin?
Todd, we'll just get down to it. If this passes, it goes on to a vote of the people, will this eliminate Freedman from the roles of Cherokee Nation?
Yes, it would.
And that's primarily what this is about. That's the way I see it. What I would say is to make a statement to these council people, and I've got one prepared, if you allow me.
Please.
This question has been brought up, and it's a constitutional question. And it seems to be about our freedom and our freedom and roles. The highest court in our nation has ruled that the freedmen have all rights as Native Cherokees. In 1866, we had a treaty with the federal government. Within that treaty, the Cherokee Nation covenant, the new covenant, and agreed that slavery shall never hereafter exist in the nation. All freed men, as well as all free colored and persons, reside in the nation at the outbreak of the rebellion and now reside herein, or who shall return within 6 months, in their descendants. And the descendants to me would be the people of today, shall have all the rights of Native Cherokees. Now, to me, our treaties have brought about our programs within our nation. Right now, our programs consist of over $300 million a year. They've also given our nation the right to own the Arkansas Riverbed. And I know right now we're putting into action a right for fishing and hunting, and also for our water rights and etc. And today, do we want to put these rights in jeopardy by breaking our own treaties? And that's one of the biggest questions to me. One of them. And you better ask yourself what you're doing here. Freedmen have served on the council. And in 1887, to read you who served in my district. We had a Lawson Runyon, a Redbird Smith, which is well known in our district. We had a Joseph Topp, a John Raincrow, and a Frank Lane. The latter was a Negro. So we had a freedman in 1987 that served on the council with Redbird Smith. And I thought that was very interesting. In the 1880s, these freedmen were taken, their rights were taken away from them. They fought for these rights for the last 23 years. And our highest court more or less gave it to them here in the last month. And have to go over my background here because I hate to take your time, but I want to make this statement. My father and his people, they were Methodists, and my mother, they were Church of Christ. My parents instilled moral and ethical rights in me, and to do and to think what's right, what's wrong. And I've been told that we need to do the moral thing with this situation by a few people. I had one people call me, and he just wanted to eliminate the freedom from our roads. And I've had a couple talk to me. Now, these are people I don't know. They just call me and talk to me. That just wanted this to be by blood. You could be a Native American and be an African American, and just as long as it was by blood. I know in the past several years that the Seminole Nation, they tried to keep out the freedom. And during the election that they were having then, that they were trying to keep them out, the federal government stepped in and said that the old council will reside now. And what legislators were kept in office that were there before. And their programs was taken over by the federal government and run until they finally decided that they would take in the freedom. Our roads are called Dawes Roads. And they're called roads because there's more than one. And the freedmen are included in this road. They have their own road. If we cast out freedmen tribal people, you can mark my words and remember this, that the federal government will make the freedmen a recognized tribe in Oklahoma. And I'll guarantee you they'll give them a land base here in this nation. I'll just bet you. Anybody wants to go out with them here. And they'll be backed by some Cherokees. And they'll be backed by the Black Caucus in Washington, D.C. And they'll be hard to overcome. And to me, that's something we should take advantage of, is go to Washington, D.C. and ask for funding for the additional people that's going to enter into our tribe. And I'm pretty sure we can get help for these people in the Black Caucus in Washington, D.C. With this in mind, I'd like to make a motion to table this until I could get out from in my district and talk to the people that back me as a council. Because those are the people that I want to hear from. And I'll go individually to every one of them and ask them to see if they know this information and if they know the background and how they feel about it. And that's primarily what I would like to do. And I would like to make this for at least 45 days, and if not 60 days, to table this. And that's in the form of a motion. Thank you.
We have a motion on the floor, Mr. Thornton.
Well, table overcomes any motion.
Okay. Do I have to get a second? Moved in second. Any further discussion? Yes.
Just a clarification on your motion. Would it be for 45 or 60? I think you need to specify.
Well, I would really like to feel that it's for 60 days. And I'm going to tell you why. We just went through some election laws. And it took over a year, probably a year and a half, to get through those election laws. I had 280 citizens out of my district that was not listed on the 2003 voters list, so therefore they didn't get a questionnaire. And, I've had to file a suit to try to get that list changed for 2003, just to put my people back on that voters list. And some of you people supported me and some of you didn't. And I appreciate the people that supported me. But that's my main reason that I'd ask for 60 days. And I'd like to go through it very well with my people. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor of, any further discussion? All in favor of tabling this item for 60 days, to signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
No.
Roll call.
Bill John Baker,
Yes.
Audra Connor, Joe Crittenden,
Yes.
Meredith Fraley,
Yes.
Don Garvin,
No.
Chuck Hoskin,
Yes.
Gil Johnson,
No.
John Keener,
Yes.
Jack Bob Martin, Linda O'Leary,
Yes.
Melvina Shophouse,
Yes.
David Thornton,
Yes.
Kara Cowan Watts,
No.
Phyllis Yargy,
Yes.
Bill England.
No.
9 yea and 5 nay. Motion carries to table. Okay, item number 4 under new business is a resolution calling for an amendment to Article 5, Section 3, eliminating the word "provide blood" as a requirement to hold elective office. Mr. Henry, are you going to take that one?
I'll begin it. I'll wait.
Madam Chair. I have a question on our last item before we move on. And my concern is, well, Mr. Thornton, your motion to table, within that 60 days, then you're saying that the council would do community surveys or meetings or something like that. I think that I'd like to hear what our plan is, a plan of action for the 60 days, so that we're all on the right, in the same mode of thought.
That primarily would be up to each individual councilor, I believe. If you want to have meetings, that'd be fine. I don't have any
I think that we should have something official that all the council could share and look at and see the results of. And I don't mind doing anything on my own, but I think that this body wants to act as a whole for the citizenship, and I think that that's something that I would like to see us, so that everyone knows that we're planning to carry out a planned action, what our plans are, and not just haphazardly doing different things in our community, that we're giving good information, that we're all getting responses and things like that. So that's what I would like to see, that we...
I think it would probably take more than 60 days.
Mr. Henry?
When we have community meetings.
And this is just a suggestion, but the council might consider developing a subcommittee on this issue. Number one, I know that Ms. Hubertiski came to the council and gave some estimates about possible numbers, but in a matter of this importance, I think it would be prudent for the council to develop a subcommittee to find out, well, how many people are actually the potential of becoming members. What is going to be the true impact, both pro and con, to the Cherokee Nation, and develop this information over the next 60 days, and we'll put it on what is April, May, the June Rules Committee, and come back with that. This is what we found out. Not necessarily, and then also, and above that, it would be very prudent on each council member to either hold a community meeting or visit with members of the community to find out what their feelings is and bring that information back to the June Rules Committee. But I think working with members of the Registration Department, Health Department, Education Department, find out what the impact, like I said, both and with the possibility of what extra monies we could get. Find out real hard figures, what's going to be the pro and con, and come back and make an informed decision on it.
I'd like to make that motion that we have established a subcommittee to sort of plan our work and oversee this 60-day period and what we might hope to accomplish during that time.
Have a second?
Second.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
point of order.
Okay.
We're going to change the agenda. We need to.
No, we need to. Can I just point us up to me?
Yes, ma'am.
As chairman, I can just point us up to me. Bill,
Ask
you're
for
on.
volunteers.
Okay. Any further? Are you okay now, Phyllis?
I'm fine.
All right. Okay, item 4 is the eliminating the words "by blood" as a requirement to hold elective office. Is that Todd? Sorry. You started, didn't you?
We started. This is a resolution that has gone through many changes in language from what I had originally drafted on behalf of Mr. Martin. So, and literally the last version we got was within the last hour. So in that regard, I would suggest that Ms. Hammonds come up, read that language, and interpret comment.
Hammonds?
I'd like to make a motion to accept this.
To accept.
To move the resolution forward so we can discuss it.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any further discussion?
I believe that's regarding this resolution.
Wait.
Go ahead.
If I can read the language, Mr. Henry is correct. We have been working back and forth and tweaking the language to this. It doesn't change the substantive, but
Diane Fisher? Microphone on.
is it?
Can everybody hear okay?
It's not here.
It sounds like it's on. Just yell.
All right, I will. Speaking of, I think this is being televised. Mr. Thornton and Mr. Hoskins' names are backwards. I know that.
We may prefer it that Thank you.
There have been revisions to this, none of which change the substance of it, but I'll read the latest version. There is hereby proposed an amendment to the Constitution of the Cherokee Nation pursuant to Article 15, Section 2. Said amendment would add an additional provision to the Constitution stating, notwithstanding any provisions of the Cherokee Nation Constitution approved on October 2nd, 1975, and the Cherokee Nation Constitution ratified by the people on July 26, 2003. Upon passage of this amendment, any citizen of the Cherokee Nation who is otherwise eligible shall be entitled to hold elected office within the nation. Yes, to add an amendment allowing any citizen of the nation to hold elective office. No, to retain the present language in the Cherokee Constitutions. As both the 1975 and the 99 Constitutions have by blood requirement, Cherokee by blood requirement for elective offices, council members, principal chief, deputy principal chief. This amendment, if presented to the people, would give the people the option of deleting that so that any citizen of the Cherokee Nation, otherwise eligible, obviously couldn't be 15 years old or a felon, but otherwise eligible, could hold elective office.
Any questions? Any discussion? Yes, Mr. Hoskins?
We just tabled a proposed act that would require a blood requirement for citizenship in our great nation. And now we're talking about removing the blood requirement from being an elected leader. And I'm somewhat perplexed. I think this has strong ties to the act that we just voted on. And therefore, I feel the same way about this one that I do about that one. And I would like some time to get input on this also. I don't understand the validity of this in getting to a vote. I'm a Cherokee by blood. I'm very proud of it. But our tribe and our people deserve very long and thoughtful debate and consideration anytime we're talking about the elected leaders of this great nation. So with that being said, I would make a motion to table.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of tabling this item, signify by saying aye. Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't see your
May I
hand.
discuss the merit of it, even if it's going to be motions tabled?
We can't hear you.
May I discuss the merit of the resolution, even though it's been tabled, motion to table?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Hosmer.
it's confined, the discussion is confined to tabling this item, or not tabling.
Well, since the reasoning has been proposed, that the assumption was that it's tied to the other one, I'd like to discuss that, so that that's not the only thought left on the table.
Madam Chair, I have no objection to it, but the primary reason for it is simply because of it's requiring now to eliminate blood, and I think it's something that we need to discuss with our other Cherokee people out there and get more input before we vote on something like this. But I have no objection to this, Governor.
Madam Chair,
I saw the floor, right?
I'm sorry, she's sorry.
Thank you. I feel strongly about this amendment because, for one, it just seems ridiculous that we would have different classes of citizens regardless of who those citizens are. If you're a citizen of a nation, other than for reasons brought up earlier, such as preclusion because of felonies or those kind of committed acts, you should be able to hold office regardless if you're a citizen, as long as you meet those minimal requirements such as age or whatever that are required under law to hold an elected position. So to me, there is a lot of different amendments being offered here, but it's not exclusively tied to that. These would be voted on separately by the Cherokee people, and for myself, I've struggled with why we would preclude the Shawnees, the Delawares, or the Freedmen if they're citizens of the nation. They should all be able to hold office and be elected just like each of us by blood, because it just doesn't make sense for them to be citizens if not, I guess. It is my basic understanding of it. And that's why I think it's important to go ahead and act upon this, because we would still have considerable time, whether it was a special election or the regular spring election, to debate and discuss any of these amendments. So I don't see any time to it or whatever. And I think it's why we continue to table this, because these issues have been outstanding for years. And everybody's been thinking about them and discussing them, and it's been in the news for a while now. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Linda?
Well, I have a couple of questions, and whether this should even be brought up at this time. It's very conflicting, contradictory to the previous resolution that we tabled. There's a court case now, Peacock versus one of our council members, Mr. England, and that is in
Point of order?
Yes, I'll call myself point of order. I did mention a name. I'll continue now. That I think this is geared toward that, and I don't think that we should overstep our bounds when we have a justice, JAT, that can make these decisions. It's in the court right now. And also, it remains to be seen whether or not this certain council person can even vote on the type of legislation that they're talking about in this and putting forth. So I have a big problem with it. And of course, my vote would be no, or table. Thank you.
Joe?
Part of what Linda said, Madam Chair, was exactly what I was going to bring up. And I'd like to have Todd give us a little direction on that, because maybe we shouldn't even be discussing this.
Henry?
Just prior to this meeting, there was a scheduling conference on that case that we were discussing. And it has been set for a trial on the merits for June 8th, 2006. So that issue will be resolved one way or the other at our first constitution will be decided. Now, what particularly is I mean, please explain for me the question again, Mr. whether we should be discussing this or...
Right, and we've got a motion on the table. I mean, this might be a good time to just, not discuss, and go ahead and vote on the motion to table, and let this June, whatever date we were talking about, come and pass, and then maybe look at this again. I mean, that would be a suggestion.
Questions been called? All in favor of tabling this resolution, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. One abstention. Okay. We will table that item. Item 4. Item 5 is a resolution called for an amendment to the Constitution of the Cherokee Nation, stating that the sovereign immunity of the Cherokee Nation shall be waived by any enactment of the tribal council. Then rewrite.
If that's the wording, I move to disapprove.
All right. I authored this resolution at the request of Councilperson Martin. The reasoning would be language in the Lucy Allen versus Cherokee Nation Tribal Council reliving the case JAT 0409. The language in question. I wish I could. The language in question appears on page 2 of that decision under sovereign immunity. And just for the application of everyone, I'll read it. It's not long. It says, Respondent Cherokee Nation asked this court to follow the United States Supreme Court's decision in Santa Clara versus Martinez and dismiss this case because the Cherokee Nation is immune from suit. If this case were filed against the Cherokee Nation in a federal or state court, Santa Clara would certainly require dismissal. In fact, when other Cherokee freedmen have asked the federal courts to enforce their rights under the 1975 Constitution, the federal courts have properly dismissed those lawsuits. Article 7 of the 1975 Constitution, however, created this court to hear and, quote, hear and resolve any disagreements, end quote, arising under the, quote, Constitution or any enactments of the council, end quote. This case involved a direct conflict between the language of the Constitution and the legislation passed by the council. The JAT is the only, underlined only, proper form. This language would modify, the resolution would modify Article 7, which is the judicial article under our current Constitution, and would add the language after, at the end of the article, to read, provided that the sovereign immunity of the Cherokee Nation shall be waived only by enactment of law or resolution of the council. That was the language that was requested, and and I would entertain any questions or as to the justification, I would refer to Mr. Martin on this one.
Thank you.
With your legal counsel hat on, is this going too far?
Yes.
Move to disapprove.
Second.
You want to read into the record, Madam Chairman? This is from Dwight Gardwell. He's an ex-justice tribunal. And it says, Dear Council Member O'Leary, at your request I have reviewed the resolution which proposes an amendment to Article 7 of the Cherokee Constitution. That suggested change would add the following language in Article 7. Provided that the sovereign immunity of the Cherokee Nation shall be waived only by enactment of law or resolution of the Council. In my opinion, there is absolutely no need for this amendment. Sovereign immunity already exists and is in place as a matter of law to protect the Cherokee Nation. This proposal, disguised as a means to preserve sovereign immunity, is an impostor which would eliminate individual Cherokee rights. It is nothing more than a clever but evil device to strip the Cherokee people of their constitutionally guaranteed right to seek relief for wrongs inflicted upon them by government officials acting outside the bounds of Cherokee laws.
Is there a point of order?
Point of order.
isn't that an assertion about what the intent of this is, as described in the letter?
Mr. Henry?
It's legal.
Well, it's, Ms. O'Leary has the floor. She's asked to make to read a statement. She can read the statement. There could be questions about what the purpose of, where he would have that intent or not. But it is proper for her to read that.
As I'll continue, it would shut down the Cherokee court system and leave only 2 branches of government. The 3-branch system of Cherokee government has functioned well for decades. There is no need to change it to a situation where individual Cherokee liberties and God-given rights are not protected. I would urge you and all the Cherokee Tribal Council members who are truly for the people to reject this proposal. Dwight Birdwell. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any further discussion?
Chair.
Clara?
May I direct my question towards the good councilwoman and her opinion she just read in? Because I have questions about her. Yeah, may I?
No, not to her, to direct it to all of us.
Since there was so much asserted in that opinion, I'd like to understand, was the question asked about the specific JAT opinion and about how the JAT explicitly waived sovereign immunity for anyone, not just Cherokee citizens, to come in without authorization from this body to sue the Cherokee Nation for any constitutional issue? Was that question asked, I guess?
So you want to respond?
I don't want to respond. I think this speaks to itself. The proposed resolution was sent to Mr. Birdwell, and that is it was his knowledge and his expertise. This is the opinion that he rendered to me at my request. I would glad to pass out copies of the opinion.
I would love to have a copy, Madam Chair.
We have a motion on the floor to disapprove by Mr. Baker, seconded by Mr. Crittenden.
Point of clarification.
Yes,
Yes means for it not to pass.
that's right.
Right, just a minute. Clarification again.
He moved to disapprove.
Okay, disapprove.
Item 5. Okay, all in favor of this?
I hear Mr. Baker's, what he just said again.
A yes vote makes it go away. Yes vote makes it go away. Period.
Yeah, all minds clear. All in favor of disapproving item 5 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
No.
Roll call.
Audra Connor, Joe Crittenden,
Yes.
Meredith Fraley,
No.
John Garvin, Chuck Hoskins,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
No.
John Keener,
Yes.
Jack Bob Martin, Linda O'Leary,
Yes.
Melvina Shophouse,
Yes.
David Thornton,
Yes.
Carol County Watts,
No.
Phyllis Yargy,
Yes.
Joel Anglin,
No.
Scott Mason.
Yes.
8 yeas, 6 nays.
8 yes and 6 no's, motion to disapprove passes. Okay. Item 6 is a resolution calling for a special election on the proposed amendment to the Constitution of the Cherokee Nation. Mr. Henry.
Madam Chairman, with the previous vote that took place, I believe.
I don't think it was right. Okay, I miscounted. I didn't have it right.
Mr. Henry, please.
With the votes, the previous vote that took place, I believe that this resolution will be moved to sign until the June meeting.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, so that's good. Right, number
And Madam
6.
Chairman, just for clarification, that was a motion to table, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, item 7, is everybody clear now? Item 7 is a resolution stating the Cherokee Nation opposition to state question 726, which is the Oklahoma proposed Oklahoma paper law.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Abstain.
1 abstention. Okay, number 8 is a legislative act amending Title 28, 68, allowing for the repeal of certain sections of the Tobacco Tax Compounding Act.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I'm going to move to table this in hopes that the chief and the tax commission and the different levels of smoke shops can get together and come up with a pricing that everybody can live with, that will be for the good of the nation, and that the state can live with, and that we can hopefully make some progress. And I have been told that all the parties are in agreement to sit down at the table and try to come up with a solution that won't put our smoke shops out of business, will keep our funds coming into the nation, and keep our stakeholders that own the property getting their rents or leases. So anyway, the motion is to table for those reasons, and I'm hoping that we'll end this meeting with maybe just recessing, so that if that takes place, then we can come back and act before the council meeting.
Moved and seconded that this item 8 be tabled. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, item 8 is tabled. Item 9 is a legislative act amending Act 506 of the tobacco tax and adding a definition. Who has that? You, Todd?
I drafted this legislation on behalf of Councilperson Thornton. The intent of the legislation would to strike or make clear, make definitely clear that retail-to-retail sales to retailers outside of the jurisdiction of the Cherokee Nation would not pay the surtax.
Move for approval.
Moved and seconded. This is an act. Do I have any discussion? Paula?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to discuss it further, the surtax was implemented April 1, and it is retail-to-retail transactions. This particular amendment to this act provides for an unfair advantage for Cherokee Nation smoke shops. And I just wanted to point that out, that it does put us at a disadvantage. And would just like to share my concerns that our shops would be paying a surtax that someone outside of our jurisdiction would not. And can't understand why we would put our guys at a disadvantage.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, it was my belief that our shops agreed to this in the first place, that they thought that the outside nations, tribes, were not included in the surtax. And is there, well, anyway, that's what they told me. That's what brought this about, is our shops that come across and said that they didn't believe that the outside nations should pay this surtax.
Paula?
I have visited with several of our retailers and understand that they're not totally satisfied that if this amendment took place, that it would place them in a disadvantaged state. And we have several of our retailers here today that may be able to address that and maybe clear up that point for us, Mr. Gordon.
Kara, did you have your hand up? Yeah. Wait a minute, I'm sorry. Bill John had his hand up first.
I feel
Okay.
good lady Colonel.
Thank you, Bill John. Excuse me. Thank you, Counselor. I'm confused. The administration supports repealing the tax. That's what I just heard. So
No, there's a surtax that is applied to retail transactions that took effect April 1. This amendment to that act would remove $1.50 for transactions outside of the jurisdiction of the Cherokee Nation. Retail shops inside the jurisdictional boundary of Cherokee Nation would be subject to a surtax of $1.50 per carton. This amendment would remove someone going outside, or if one of our retailers sells to Creek Nation, Osage Nation, they would not be subject to the same tax that a Cherokee Nation smoke shop would. So there would be a $1.50 advantage for someone, a shop outside of our jurisdictional boundaries. So
If this was enacted.
if this is enacted, this amendment is what's enacted.
Madam Chairman? I'm kind of getting some, a little confusion or some mixed signals or whatever, and we do have some of the smoke shop folks here. I mean, is there some way we could ask one of them, whoever the spokesperson is, maybe for the group, to give us a little guidance?
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, could I ask Mr. Carter to speak to this?
We have three, I guess you'd say, levels of smoke shop owners.
Yeah.
He's in the middle.
And are you in the middle?
He's in the middle.
You want to come forward? Are you speaking for all three tax rates, or whatever you call them?
I can speak for one rate, the rate that I'm on. I'm sure if the rest of them disagree with me, that will be fine with me though.
Okay, can you do it in 5 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Great.
Madam Chairman, thank you for this opportunity. In my view, to clarify the purpose of this act, and it's pretty cut and dry to me because I've attended all of the meetings that we've had, even the one at Sepulveda. And that's the one that sticks in my mind. And Ms. Holder's absolutely right. The $1.50, I will end up paying that as a full rate shop. But I think about this in long term. Our Creek Nation friends have pretty much been with us on a lot of this stuff, and we've discussed a lot of issues with it. And the removal of this tax on them does not cause me to be afraid of having a disadvantage. Now, Ms. Holder doesn't have any way of knowing that, and she's absolutely correct. If you look at it on paper, that's what it looks like. But down the road, when this thing is settled, it's going to mean a lot when the Cherokee Council and the Creek Council can get together and decide on a rate that will fit both tribes, because I'm surrounded by creek shops, and in the past we've had no problems, and that is the reason for this $1.50 being removed. It was my understanding when it was put on there that it would not affect outside tribes, but the clarification of the language proved to be otherwise. So it's my understanding that this act takes that off, and that is the reason for them to remove it, is so we don't put those creeks at a, actually we're taxing the Creek Nation if they happen to be dealing with us, and other tribes are not doing it. So if there was a problem with one creek shop causing a huge disadvantage to another Cherokee shop because of this $1.50, there isn't any doubt in my mind that we could go to the creek officials and have that repaired. So that's the way I understand it.
Any questions for Mr. Hoskin?
I appreciate what you've said, but Madam Chair, I'd also like to recognize the Speaker of the Creek Nation Council, the Honorable George Tiger. He's in the audience, and he would want to speak to the creek side of it if you would allow.
I'd like to hear from, are there any other smoke shop owners who would like to lead? Did you want to speak, Joe?
Please, I'm going to defer this issue if anybody, Mr. Lane, is more familiar with mine. Mr. Lane.
Thank you.
that time, we were wanting to include the creeks and the Osages, because as a group, we operate as a group. We have boundaries and borders together. And someplace along the line, passing this $1.50 got wrong. And we went ahead because, and agreed to the gap tax. Because, I'm calling it a gap tax because I don't know what else it is. But we went ahead and agreed to it because we don't really have the control or the say in Creek Nation or Osage Nation. We just control our own destinies. But if we could get the other tribes to go along, I wouldn't be opposed to this at all. But I've had long conversations with the Osages, and they don't want to pass the $1.50 tax on to their smoke shops. So it puts us at a disadvantage in Tulsa. So I don't know what to do. I mean, I'm kind of at a loss because by this, I agreed to something and I'm sticking with it. I agreed to the gap tax in the beginning, and I still agree to it. And I'm not trying to offend anyone. It's just, there's things that are out of our control. Now, if we want to try to legislate that on through, fine. I'll go with it. But, you know, I'm in agreement with the tribe, and I'm sticking to my opinion. Thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Lane? Barbara?
I don't have a question, I just like to speak then.
Oh, okay. Come forward, Barbara. You want to come forward? You feel at home, Barbara?
Well, more right there.
Glad to have you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Council members. I'd just like to make a couple of quick comments. I agree with Mr. Lane, we did agree to this surtax. I have had some discussion with some folks on this though, and understand Danny's position on this because he does a lot of retail to retail. Understand the Creek's position, and I know we want to work together and have all the faith in the world that when it comes down to working this out, that we'll work with the Creeks, whether we do the tax or not, because this is going to benefit all of us when we can agree. This probably doesn't affect our shops that much because we don't do retail to retail. We have the opportunity to, but the law didn't say that we specifically could, so we chose not to do that. We do some small amounts in one little shop we have, but we did agree to pay the surtax. But a question comes to my mind, Madam Chair, is that it does put some of the Tulsa shops at a disadvantage as well as some of our other shops. Why would we do something to put our own people in the 14 counties to a disadvantage? What would keep someone from sending cigarettes to the Creeks and then buying them back and bringing them back in here to save that disadvantage? You'd have some contraband. We all know that people try all kinds of things sometimes when it comes to their cigarettes because they like their smokes and they like to make money off of it. But I just think before you do this, that you think real hard about it. Maybe you need to get some more information on it before you put our own people at a disadvantage, because that's what you would be doing in this. Thank you.
Hold on just a second, Melvin, if you have a question.
No, no, for her,
Oh, okay. Thank you. Did anybody have a question for Barbara?
I do. Barb, is it going to make it a worse disadvantage than they are right now with the Osage shop?
Well, it's going to put the people here, some of them at a disadvantage.
But they're already at that disadvantage.
Well, they have a disadvantage. It's not going to help them.
But it's not going to hurt them.
Well, it's putting the shop in the 14 counties that are at a disadvantage of it. Because they're going to be paying the surtaxes, others are not.
Well, but in all honesty, I
Do
mean,
you compete?
surely we know that the phone shops and transfer them are going to make something.
Creek shops? Yeah. So if they don't have to pay it, and Joe does, that puts you at a disadvantage, you'll tell them.
Okay, but he's already at the disadvantage with the Osage. Correct.
Joe, Mr. Lane, are you already at a disadvantage, as Bill John says?
With the Osage?
To be honest, no. Their shops closed down because of the way they are implementing their compact.
Okay.
There's also shops that closed down. We've lost 3 or 4 shops in Tulsa area. But the other border stores, yes, it will hurt. Up toward Waltersville.
I just guess it was my thought that we should take care of our own first and make sure that they don't lose any gifts. And maybe if you have questions about it or don't understand it, you might want to table it and get more information on it before you take any action, because I know that y'all don't want to put Cherokee shops, Cherokee people at disadvantage.
That's what I was going to suggest, it's very important, and I mean, everybody's here today.
It is.
So I was going to make a motion, we just table that, because we tabled the other one, we don't know where this is going to go there, so I'll make a motion with that.
Moved and seconded, any discussion?
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
I don't know the gentleman's name, but I'd like to give a second to him. He looks like he really wants to say something.
Mr. Hooker? Sorry, Jeremy, I didn't mean to skip you.
Currently I sell to a lot of retail stores, and the Osage they are gonna make a huge difference because of all these creek shops that currently buy from me right now. We collect 50 cents a carton from them. Well, they're getting ready they're wanting phone numbers right now to the Osage to start buying from them, and I just don't see how that's gonna help. If you're giving another tribe 50 cents a carton, when we could be getting that, and I feel like the $1.50 is not going to make any more money than it does now. And the Osage, any creek shop that's close to a Cherokee shop can go buy from the Osage, and they're going to be at the 50 cent. They're going to buy for 50 cents. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. I can sure explain it to them.
Anybody have any questions of Mr. Hooker?
I'm just saying that the Osage, that's going to be, if you drop the $1.50, the creeks are going to be buying from us instead of the Osage. If you put the $1.50 on it, the Osage will go to the creek, or the creeks will go to the Osage, and we're going to lose the $1.50 plus the 50 cents, and be at a disadvantage, and make the creeks mad at us. But it sounds good.
Paula, please.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to offer to this body that the tax commission could provide information of how many shops are conducting retail, what those numbers look like, and so that you have some information to better make a decision. We have that calculation since the tax has been in place since April 1.
Ms. Hosmer?
Thank you. Madam Chair, it's difficult for us to keep track of our own tribe. Now we're talking about 2 other tribes, and I know those all enter into the mix, but our primary and foremost thoughts have to be for the Cherokee Nation. But with that being said, I intend to support the motion to table, but I would like to, either before or after the vote, to hear from the Speaker of the Muskogee Creek. Thank you.
Have a motion. You do it on in a second there. I'm here. Okay. And moved and seconded. Any discussion from the council? Before we move on, Mr. Tiger, where is he? Oh, there he is. Mr. Tiger, what's your official title?
I mean, seriously now.
Well, you know me too well, don't you? My name is George Tiger. I'm the Speaker of the Legislature for the Muskogee Creek Nation.
Thank you for coming.
Let me preface my comments by saying that it is an honor to appear once again before this esteemed government of our relatives, the Cherokee people. I guess that there's a bad boy in this whole situation, yes we are. Unfortunately, we don't have a compact with the state of Oklahoma. And because we don't, we are indeed looking, just as anyone else, is to find products that we can buy and sell and make a profit. To a certain degree, your retail shops are our stands, loading the product, and maybe we can get at a little lower price. So our consumers at the Creek Nation. I think maybe some of this came from the Prodigal Summit we held in Spoke. And I was very honored to have many of your members of this council attend. At the conclusion of the summit, we agreed that we were going to try to help each other because of the tobacco situation here in Oklahoma. Unfortunately, as our jurisdictional boundaries doesn't allow us to have border rates. And because of that, we don't have exception rates, as you do, as the Osages. So we were looking to our relatives, the Cherokees and the Osages, to help us in terms of the free enterprise system, as this certainly is. So we, our intent is to continue with selling of our products and looking at this Cherokee Nation in some of the areas. Now, it is true that we share a market with the Cherokees and the Osages in the Tulsa market. And I'll just go on record and say this. This whole tobacco issue would not be discussed today in front of your council, in front of the Osage Council, or in front of our council, had it not been the fact that we share the Quick Trips and the Walmarts. Because we do know all the things that have been written about us negatively are going on other sides of the state as well. But because we do share that market, this issue is certainly a hot topic here in Oklahoma. But to my comments, I would have to say that up to this point, we have certainly enjoyed the relationships that we have with tribal governments, whether it's the tobacco industry and the retail situation. We are in the process of, at some point in time, maybe signing a compact. We don't know. As you know, there hasn't been any good negotiations for a long time. However, I feel like that maybe at some point those have the time. But our smoke shops, majority of our smoke shops, I should say, are out in the areas, the rural areas. On the southern boundaries, we have Choctaw Nation. On the southwest boundaries, we have Chickasaw Nation. On the eastern boundaries, we have you. Northern boundaries, we have Carter-Beers, and of course, we have Osage Nation. And to the west of us, we have Second Plot. So we're all surrounded. And that's one of the reasons that we've had these discussions about retail. And we appreciate the fact that we can work together. I admire the fact that while this issue or this topic has been tabled, I believe that the reason that we can survive as tribal governments is we make the best decisions for not only our tribal governments that we serve, but the tribal governments overall. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Tiger? Appreciate your coming.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table item 9. Do I have any other discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor of tabling item 9 signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye. Or nay? Yes.
Barring the announcements of tentative schedule, May 25th. Oh, that's exactly what I was saying. I'm going to ask at the next meeting that this recess until 10 a.m. on May 15th.
Have a motion to recess this meeting to May 10 at
time?
10 a.m. at May 15th.
On May
The morning of the
15th.
council meeting.
Okay. May 15, 10 a.m. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Mr. Thornton?
Madam Chair, for what purpose?
But what I've been told is that administration, smoke shops, the tax commission are all in agreement. They're going to sit down and work out a rate for the table smoke shop legislation that we can hopefully bring forth, pass, and take it to council meeting that day.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be praying for.
We all will.
Okay, do I have a second on that?
Second.
Gilbert? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Do we have any further announcements? Yes, Mr. Oscar?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would like to express my thanks to Speaker Tiger. His tribe was nice enough to host the meetings of the 5 tribes yesterday, a very historic occasion. And unfortunately, a lot of us didn't hear about it until the last minute. But it was a meeting that celebrated the 100th anniversary of the state of Oklahoma basically being instructed that they would recognize all of our treaties, all of our rights, and respect all Indian tribes as nations. And 3 of the 5 civilized tribe chiefs were there. Some assistant chiefs were there. It was a very, very nice ceremony, and I want to thank the Muskogee Creek for hosting it.
Mr. Baker?
Yeah, the announcement executive finance will meet on time at 3 o'clock at the council chambers. Okay. Tribal council house, sorry.
Paula?
Madam Chair, I just wanted to make an announcement. Right before this meeting, I was in contact with OCC and Rule 13, which was going to be implemented, the emergency rule number 13, which was going to be implemented Monday, May the 1st. There will be a meeting that takes place. The commission is going to meet, but it is expected for that rule to be extended for 30 days. So I just wanted to make that announcement.
Not necessarily effective.
It will not be implemented, or our understanding is it will be extended for 30 days to not be implemented, yes.
Okay.
And that announcement is on the website, Oklahoma Tax Commission's website.
Okay, thank you. Before we make a motion to adjourn, I want to know who wants to serve on this subcommittee, on the Cherokee by Blood Subcommittee. Mr. Baker, Mr. Crittenden, Mr. Thornton, Kara, Mr. Martin, anybody else? And Phil, oh yeah, you're on it anyway. And Phyllis. All right, thank you very much. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Recess.